রাফিদ,
বলো।
আমি এতে যেতে পারি না, এই যে
হ্যাঁ,
ঢুকতে পারি না।
কিতে?
গ্রুপে ঢুকতে হবে, গ্রুপে ঢুকলে তোমার গ্রুপে
ফেসবুক।
ফেসবুকে গেলাম।
তুমি ইউটিউবে একে দাও।
গেছি গেছি।
তোমার ক্যামেরা অন আর আমি
ক্যামেরা নাই, ক্যামেরা অফ করে রাখছি। অফ করে রাখি, দেখি এটা অফ করে রাখি। মাইকটা কোন জায়গায় আছে? মাইকটা
ইউটিউবে দাও, আমি ইউটিউব থেকে দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
এখান থেকে দেওয়া যায়, এখান থেকে দেওয়া যায়।
এখান থেকে দেওয়া যেতে পারে। তাহলে ফেসবুকে যাও, শেয়ারে দেখো, শেয়ার টেয়ার কিছু একটা আছে।
সব দেখছি আমি, সব দেখছি, এই যে শেয়ারে।
তাহলে ওখান থেকে একটা ভেজাল করতেছো কেন? আমি দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
একটু দাঁড়া, একটু দাঁড়ান। গ্রুপটা দাঁড়া 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 দাঁড়া, সবাই না, ফ্রেন্ড আছে এখানে। হ্যাঁ, এই জায়গায় কোথায়
অনলি গ্রুপস আছে, দেখো
অনলি গ্রুপস।
আচ্ছা, আমি দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
দাও দিন।
আবার করে দাঁড়াও।
সেকেন্ড ইয়ার, সেকেন্ড ইয়ার, সেকেন্ড ইয়ার, সেকেন্ড ইয়ার দাও।
সেকেন্ড ইয়ার কি তো বুঝলাম, তোমাকে কি তো
হয়ে গেছে, হয়ে গেছে, রাবিদ হয়ে গেছে। Dear students, actually I am in some problem with my preparation, please wait for some time. I'm actually taking preparation so that you can hear me clearly and watch the content page to the best understanding of you. Please wait a bit. আর্নেস্ট, আরে আমার সমস্যা হয়েছে। আমি তো সব ঠিক আছে কিন্তু আমি ছবি আনতে পারছি না। আমার ছবি অফ করে দিয়েছি মানে স্ক্রিন থেকে আর আনতে পারছি না। সেটাই তো ক্যামেরার অপশন তো পাচ্ছি না তো। আমি বোধহয় এতে ঢুকে মানে ইউটিউবে ঢুকে আছে সম্ভবত। হ্যাঁ, ইউটিউব থেকে ফেসবুক। কিভাবে কাটবো? ইউটিউব দেওয়া আছে তো। হ্যাঁ, লাস্টের উপরে মানে যে ইউটিউব লেখাই আছে ইউটিউব ডিডি। মানে ফেসবুকে আমি ঢুকতে পারি, সম্ভবত ফেসবুক ঢুকতে পারি নাই নাকি? তাই তো মনে হচ্ছে নাকি? কিভাবে দেবো ক্রস করে? এটা ইউটিউব চলে আসছে। হুম, হ্যাঁ, তো তো দেখছো না? কিন্তু আমাকে দেখা যাচ্ছে না, এই তো? ও আচ্ছা। ও আমি বুঝতেছি না জিনিসটা। এই জায়গা থেকে কন্টিনিউ টু ইউটিউব দেওয়া আছে। এখানে আমি কি করবো এই জায়গায়? সেটা একটু সমস্যা হচ্ছে দেখতেছি আসলে। দেখো তো কোথাও আমি আছি, কোথাও আমি সেটা তো বুঝতেছি না তো। আমি তো গিয়েছি তো ইয়েতে। আমি তো স্ক্রিনে যে গেলাম, এই যে একদম একদম সব অফ হয়ে গেল দেখো। কি করবো? অফ হয়ে গেছে মনে হয়। আমি স্টেমের, হ্যাঁ লাইভ আছে, হ্যাঁ গেছি আমি এখানে। এখান থেকে কি করা যায়? হুম, কাণ্ড। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, তুমি থাকো তো একটু। আচ্ছা, আচ্ছা, আচ্ছা। হুম। এই রাফিদ, একটু আসো তো। আসলে অসুবিধা নেই, মাইক ইয়ে আমি আর ইয়ে করতে মিউট হয়ে গেছে।
ক্যামেরা অফ।
ক্যামেরা অফ করছি না। এখানে না, মানে ভলিউম একদম কমে গেছে। ভলিউমটা কোন জায়গায়?
এখানে দাও তো, এটা দাও। আচ্ছা কাটো।
নানান ঝামেলা দেখতে হলে যাবো কোথায়?
টেস্ট করো তো, ওই যে ভলিউম তো ঠিকই আছে।
ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ ঠিকই তো আছে, এর থেকে বেশি তো হচ্ছে না। ওদের বলো একটু ভলিউম বাড়ায় শুনতে, তাইলেই তো হয়।
আমি তো ভলিউম কমাই দিচ্ছি তখন।
আমি ভলিউমটা খুঁজে পাচ্ছি না, কারণ আমার এটা সম্বন্ধে তেমন ধারণা নেই। ভলিউম থাকলে এইসব জায়গায় তো থাকে, দাও তো ওখানে দিয়ে দেখো তো কি।
এখানে
হ্যাঁ, তো পাওয়ার্ড বাই কিছুই না। তোমার ক্লাস ছিল কখন?
করে দিলাম।
হ্যাঁ এটাই তো, এটা আর তো কিছু নাই, ভলিউম বাড়ানোর তো কিছু নাই কিন্তু। ওরা ভলিউম বাড়াইতে হবে, তুমি এটাতে কিভাবে ভলিউম বাড়াবে?
এখন ঠিক হয়ে গেছে না? হ্যালো, ঠিক আছে, আজকে আর কথা বলছি। ঠিক আছে। Dear students, actually, I'm very much sorry for my being engaged in taking some preparation. Actually, I was in some problem. Anyway, now I'm directly entering into my class. Today, I have chosen a very important passage for you. This passage, so far, I have noticed, has been repeatedly said in the board question in different boards. So, I'm reading out the passage for you. This is about, as you know, adolescence. There are some problems everyone goes through. 5 stages of adolescence to reach adolescence. And there are some problems discussed and analyzed to your understanding, and some questions have been said for you. Anyway, children must pass through several stages in their lives to become adults. For most people, there are 4 or 5 such stages of growth where they learn certain things. Infancy, that is from birth to age to 2 years. Early childhood, that means from 3 years to 8 years. Later childhood, that is 9 years to 12 years. And adolescence, that is 13 to 18, or the teen years, teen ages, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 9, 18. These 5 or 6 years, 6 years, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 16, 6 years. These 6 years actually is called adolescence. And when you completed or reached 18 years, you become adult. Persons 18 and over are considered adults in our society. Of course, there are some who will try to act older than their years. This is called over maturity. But for the most part, most individuals have to go through these stages irrespective of their economic or social status. That means he or she is poor or rich, he or she is supposed to go through these stages. That means there are, as we have already gone through, infancy, then early childhood, then later childhood, then adolescence. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So after these four stages, we reach adulthood. Anyway, World Health Organization who identifies adolescence as the period in human growth and development that occurs after childhood and before adulthood. This phase represents one of the critical transitions in one's life span and is characterized by fast-paced growth and change which are second only to those at infancy. Biological process drive many aspects of this growth and development with the onset, that means the start, beginning of puberty, that means puberty means beginning of youth, marking the passage from childhood to adolescence. The biological determinants determines the factors that determine. Determinants means the criteria, the factors, the signs or symptoms that show the beginning of adolescence. So adolescents are fairly universal. So biological determinants, biological factors that show adolescence, that show the beginning of adolescence or different signs of adolescence are universal. That means common to all people in the world. However, the duration and definition and defining characteristics of this period may vary across time, cultures, and socioeconomic situations. So it's very interesting and important to know the duration and defining characteristics. That means the duration of adolescence, duration of say, early childhood, child, etc. To some extent depend on some factor, time, cultures, and socioeconomic situations. You know, some children grow very fast. Some children do not grow fast. They grow very slowly. And there are many reasons. The child who uh, usually grows fast belongs to a rich family. And a poor child actually takes time to grow up. This period has seen many changes over the past century. Puberty, for example, this period has seen many changes over the past century. So, over the past century, some changes have taken place regarding puberty. Puberty, for example, that means in some countries, in some regions, in some climatic conditions in the world, puberty comes fast and puberty comes late. So, this period has seen many changes over the past century. Puberty, for example, comes up earlier than before. Puberty comes earlier than before. People marry late, and their sexual attitudes and behaviors are different from their grandparents or even parents. Among the factors responsible for this change are education, urbanization, and spread of global communication. Among the factors responsible for the changes are education, urbanization, and spread of communication. So this is very, very important. And now the first question, multiple choice question for you. Education and some other phenomena have brought about changes in our dash. Changes. It changes in our dash. In our matrimonial approach, sensual attitude, behavioral pattern, or all. Matrimonial approach, that means when people now marry and when people in the past used to marry, sensual attitude means sexual attitude, behavioral pattern, or all. You have to understand this that actually all these happens in course of time because of education and other factors. Matrimonial nowadays people like to marry late And the sensual or sexual attitude is quite different from the earlier generation. And also they have sense, there is little bit sense in behavioral pattern. So all, answer is all. What could be the closest meaning of for identify in the passage? Identify, categorize, mistake, generalize, overlook. Identify, চিহ্নিত করা, so categorize the answer. Classify করা, categorize, classify, determine, recognize. There are many words of the same meaning. What does the word transition refer to in the passage? So transition, shift from one stage to another stage. Stagnation, water sometimes suffers from stagnation. Change over, of course, the touch of meaning has been seen in this word. Change over, intervention, velocity. No, it's change over. That means shift, move from one condition, from one stage to another stage. What does the word onset stand for in the passage? Onset, termination, conclusion, consequence, commencement. Termination, no. Conclusion, no. Consequence, no. It's commencement, starting. Commencement means beginning or starting. The genetic factors of adolescence often fluctuate ওঠানামা করে because of the genetic factors of adolescence. Diversity of time, difference of time, variety of cultures, multiplicity of economic, socio-economic condition. Multiplicity means differences or all. You have to understand that all these factors actually are responsible for the fluctuation of genetic factors of adolescence. So the answer must be all. What are the stages of growth from childhood to adulthood? Very easy. We have seen how many stages? The stages a person crosses to reach adulthood are infancy, number 1, early childhood, number 2, later childhood, number 3, and adolescence, number 4. At which age persons of our society are considered adulthood? Persons 18 and over are considered adults in our society. How does WHO define or identify the same adolescence? The World Health Organization WHO defines adolescence as the period in human growth and development that occurs after childhood and before adulthood. What are the factors? No. Responsible for the changes? Actually, answer should be like this. Not time, but so the responsible factors are education, urbanization, and the spread of global communication. This is the answer. Now the question number E. It's a question of, to some extent, analysis. We have to analyze the biological determinants Determinants means the factors that determine, the factors or the ingredients or the elements that determine something. The biological determinants of adolescence are fairly universal. That means বিশ্বজনীন। Explain করতে হবে, the changes that take place in the adolescence period of a person are mainly natural. Natural means biological. The beginning of puberty expressing sensual eagerness is common to all across the world. We know it very well. The beginning of puberty means the beginning of sensual excitement. So the beginning of puberty expressing sensual eagerness is common to all across the world. Transition to intellectual capability. That means when a person becomes adolescent, he or she actually enters into a stage when he or she is capable of using his or her intellectual capability to say something against and for. That means he or she can say something logically, or he or she can show logic in favor his or her stand. So this is intellectual capability. Is also a usual phenomenon. Phenomenon means sign. Phenomenon means sign, symptom throughout the globe, all over the world. Of course, they may be late. They means changes that occur during adolescence. Of course, they may be late to appear in some places due to climatic and cultural grounds. Of course, there may be educational grounds and there may be some other grounds. Now, question number 2, and this is flowchart as you know it. And you see here, the answer is showing the changes that take place in adolescence. What are the changes that take place? The time of adolescence is a period of preparation for adulthood during which one experiences several key developments. Key means important, very important developments. In adulthood, there take place many very important developments. Besides physical and sexual maturation, these experiences include movement towards social and economic independence. So when one is adult, he is sexually and physically mature. Number 2, he moves towards social and economic independence, development of identity, the acquisition of skills needed to carry out adult relationships and roles. So when one is adolescent, he or she is supposed to have got these qualities, these capabilities. Number 1, physical and sexual maturation. Number 2, movement towards social and economic independence. Number 3, development of identity. Number 4, acquisition of skills. Number 5, capacity for abstract reasoning. So I've got the 5 answers. And the question is like this: changes during adolescence. Changes during adolescence. Physical and sexual maturity, social and economic independence, development of identity, working skills. In the text, there is skills needed to carry out adult responsibilities. So this is working skills. acquisition of abstract reasoning, not abstracting, but abstract. I'm sorry, abstract reasoning. And now go for summarizing. And how many of you are present now? I want to go back. Only four. Four are present with me. No problem. Many adolescents face pressure to use. This is summary. Summarize the following text. Many adolescents face pressure to use alcohol, cigarette, or other drugs, and to initiate it should be initiate initiate means start, begin sexual relationships, putting themselves at high risk for intentional and unintentional injuries. Very important. Many adolescents face pressure to use it. That means when you become an adolescent, you are supposed to face, or you may supposed to face some problems, like you may go to use alcohol, cigarettes, or other drugs, and to initiate. Sometimes you feel excited to begin sexual relationships, and through these relationships, you may put yourselves at high risk for intentional or unintentional danger. That means when you have put yourself into this relationship, you intentionally or unintentionally actually may cause injuries to your health and your mind and your future. Unintended pregnancies, like it's a great problem, the result of physical intimacy and sexual transmitted infections, that may disease, that may be sexual diseases, including the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. So these are the dangerous problems one might face through establishing sexual relationships before reaching adulthood. That means when you are adolescent, when you are not an adult, if you establish this type of relationship, you might push yourself into this type of damaging, destructive risk in your life. Many also experience a wide range of adjustment and mental health problems. Yes, there are some adolescents in our society who may not be able to make adjustment, correct or right or proper adjustment with others. And when he or she faces this problem, there occurs mental problems. Behavior patterns that are established during this period, such as the use or avoidance of drugs and taking or abstaining from sexual risks, can have long-lasting negative and positive effects on future health and well-being. It is very important. That means at this very stage of adolescence, you can involve yourselves in establishing sexual relationships through which you can damage your future, through which you can make your future negative. And if you can avoid these, taking drugs or establishing sexual relationships, you can make your future positive. As a result, adults have unique opportunities to influence it. So it's very important. When you are in this stage of, that means when you are an adult, you have these opportunities to destroy your life and construct your life. Opportunities to influence your adolescence. Adults have unique, that means the adolescent, that means the grown up people of your family. It's very important. Or your surroundings can actually influence the adolescents. So this is actually a very important role of the adults, of the family, as well as of the neighborhood or of the association. Anyway, so we have got, what are the points that we have got to use in our summary. So you see in the very beginning line, adolescent faces pressure. So there is pressure. Number one, it's a problem of taking drugs, problem of establishing sexual relationships, and the result in the long run, and then the problem of adjustment and mental health problems, and then the opportunity. You can take, you can destroy yourself by avoiding drugs, avoiding established relationships, sexual relationships, and you can push yourself into risk by abusing those opportunities. So this is the main points, and I have written the summary. You see, adolescence often faces different damaging experiences. Drugs and sex become attractive. These attractions may involve great risk, but one can avoid the negative impacts of these attractions and reach a sound adulthood. So this is the summary. And write the theme of the following text. I have taken passages of the same article. Adolescents are different both from young children and adults. They're in the middle of young children and adults. Especially adolescents are not fully capable of understanding complex concepts, problem, or the relationship between behavior and consequence. That means it becomes a problem for adolescents to understand the consequences of their behavior. That means what will happen from what he is doing now. It's very difficult for them to understand. Or the degree of control they have or can have over health decision making. Sometimes they are in some critical problem. That means they cannot understand how far they can control over their health, including threat related to sexual exploitation, sexual behavior. I'm sorry. This inability may make them particularly vulnerable means unsafe, to sexual exploitation and high risk behaviors. Law, customs, and practices may also affect adolescents differently than adults. So this is the problem. You see, যারা কিশোর বা কিশোরী, তারা তাদের নিজেদেরকে কদ্দূর পর্যন্ত নিয়ন্ত্রণ করতে পারবে, তাদের স্বাস্থ্য ব্যবস্থাপনা সম্পর্কে তারা কদ্দূর সিদ্ধান্ত গ্রহণ করতে পারবে, যেখানে তাদের এই যে যৌন আচরণের বিষয়টি আছে এটা একটা, তারপরে তারা এই যে তাদের যৌন যে ব্যবস্থাপনা এবং তার মধ্য দিয়ে তাদের আচরণগত যে সমস্ত ঝুঁকি রয়েছে সেই সমস্ত বিষয়ে তাদের যে সিদ্ধান্ত গ্রহণ করার যে অক্ষমতা আছে এগুলো থাকে। এছাড়াও আরেকটা সমস্যা, সেটা হলো যে আইন, তারপরে হলো এই যে পলিসিস, বিভিন্ন যে কাঠামো বা নীতি বা আইন, এই সমস্ত বিষয়গুলো একটা বড় ফ্যাক্টর। কারণ এগুলো করে কি, যেটা often restrict adolescents access to reproductive health information and services। দেশে এটা সব জায়গায় আছে। অর্থাৎ প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য ব্যবস্থা সম্পর্কে তথ্য এবং সেবা, এই সমস্ত বিষয়ে যখন তাদের স্পেশালি when আনম্যারিড, অবিবাহিত অবস্থায় এই সমস্ত বিষয়গুলো সম্পর্কে তাদের মানে জানার যে যে জায়গাটা, সেই জায়গাটা তারা ব্যবহার করতে পারে না। এখানে রেস্ট্রিক্ট করে দেয়। তারা যে নিজের লজ্জাই হোক বা বড়দের জানাতে পারছে না ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি কারণে সেই জায়গাগুলো তাদের জন্য সংকুচিত। তো in addition everyone even when services do exist, এমনকি যখন এই সমস্ত সেবা আছে, অর্থাৎ আশেপাশে আসার পরেও providers attitudes, অর্থাৎ এই সেবা যিনি দিচ্ছেন তার দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি about adolescents often pose a significant barrier, তাৎপর্যপূর্ণ একটা বাধা to the use of those services. তার মানে হলো we know very well that these services are actually meant for the couples or the married people, not for the unmarried. But when an adolescent or unmarried persons are in need of taking services from these organizations, they cannot have access to them. It's a problem. So this passage also expresses the problems that adolescents face. What are the problems? Problems: they are not capable of understanding complex concepts. Problem number one. Number two, they don't understand the consequence of their behavior. Number three, how far they can go to take decision about their health. Number four, these problems actually lead them to sexual problems. Number five, the existing law, customs, etc. very often limit their or restrict their movement to take services from the service providing organizations. So everywhere they face many problems. So this is problem and problem. So theme: adolescence is a period of hesitation and vulnerability. When someone is adolescent, he suffers greatly from hesitation because number one, he or she cannot fully understand many things. He cannot understand complex concepts. He cannot understand how far he or she should go to control his or her health. And there is limitation from the service providing associations or organizations. So this is vulnerability, unsafety. The surrounding environment often proves unfavorable. Of course, unfavorable because service providers' attitudes about adolescents often pose a significant barrier, so unfavorable and non-cooperative to an adolescent. So this is the thing. So today time is over. I'm actually sorry. In the beginning, I could not set up my preparation to start my class. Anyway, I'm sure today's question is very important for you, and if you later on in your private or manageable time watch the YouTube or video of the class, you will be greatly benefited. So thank you very much.